Oh, everybody. Hello, hello. It's 6:30. We're going to get started, but we're going to keep admitting people because we have over 100 people signed up tonight. But
Wow.
with this weather, I don't know. You know how that is. We get after all that snow and wintry weather, we get a day that's 61 and sunny, and wow, we want to be outside. But first of all, let me introduce myself, and then I'll quickly introduce Heidi. As we're getting started, please put your name and your program in the chat box. That will help us out with attendance because we want to send you a participation certificate for 1 hour. So we want to get that done. And so my name is Terry Kosick. For those of you I haven't met before, I'm the director of Ready to Grow St. Joe. And we are just delighted to be offering heart to heart uh, conversations and connection for those people who are part of our conscious discipline initiative called Nurturing Resilience and Building Brains, as well as to those of you who aren't a part of that but work with young children or young families, early educators, program leaders. So we're just so glad to have you here today for a really fabulous topic, which is the transformational power of positive intent. Heidi, I added transformational. I just couldn't resist. So, the power of positive intent, which is really part of our infrastructure to everything we do with any type of thoughtful, evidence based child guidance, positive child guidance. So, oh, we're getting up there, 47 people. So, it really gives me great pleasure to introduce to you someone who's really become a part of our neighborhood in South Bend in St. Joe County. Heidi White is presenting tonight. Heidi is, some of you have heard me introduce her before. Heidi is a certified instructor with conscious discipline. Heidi was a principal, was a school-wide director of early childhood programs throughout a whole district. She's been a director of Head Start. And most importantly, she's been a teacher. She knows what we all do when we're working with young children in whatever setting we're in. She's also the co-author of 6 Weeks to Success. And if you're part of our Nurturing Resilience and Building Brains, that's one of the items that come with our classroom materials. So Heidi White, we are so glad you're here. We're so glad you're our friend. And we are eager to hear about positive intent tonight.
Well, hi, everyone. I am so just grateful that on such a beautiful evening that you're deciding to spend some time with us. And I am going to, if it seems like I'm distracted, I'm not. I'm really trying to watch the board to make sure everybody gets in and they're not waiting. So I'm going to keep watching. Oop, there's one more and one more. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. But again, I appreciate your time tonight. I put together something that I hope three things for you tonight. I hope that you feel safe enough to come off mute and share some things with us. I am hoping that you are able to, if you don't feel safe enough to come off mute, to add your thoughts to the chat so that we can all begin to and continue to. Oop, there's more. Hold on. I'm still with you. I'm just getting through. Okay. And I want you to have some practical strategies to leave with, some things that you will be able to take back to your classrooms and centers. Because let's face it, our world today needs more positive intent. And it is.
Need some ice cream while I watch this.
Whoop.
You want ice cream or you want? Oh.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you.
Okay, please put your microphones on mute, your audio on mute, if you can remember to do that, and come off mute when she has questions for us.
Maybe you
Great.
You want ice cream or you want ice cream bar?
Okay. All right. Oop, there's one more. Let me know if you can see my screen. Everybody can see.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Terry. I just
Yep.
am going to make sure I have the chat up too so I can see the chat.
So if you make us a co-host, can we help behind the scenes with muting and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, I just was trying to see where that is.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh, wait, here it is. Okay, so more. It's not there.
I think it's under the participants where you just scroll over and hover over my name and you can make,
Oh, yes.
yeah, I know all these little
Host
things.
tools. Well, no, that all it says is copy invite link and host
Oh,
tools.
okay.
But let me
So
just see if there's. Okay, I think we're okay. I think
good.
we can go ahead and start. So I'm going to just put a few people's faces up so I can see you a little bit and the chat. Okay. So, as we get started tonight, our world really needs more positive intent. And so let's go ahead and wire our brains for tonight's session. And we're going to do that through a compass check. So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to think about which direction are you tonight? Are you feeling north? Like, are you feeling energized? Are you feeling east and curious? Are you feeling south and tired? Or are you feeling west and overwhelmed? So I want you just to take a second to figure out, where are you on the compass tonight? North, south, east, or west? I'm going to give you just a smidge of wait time. Energized, overwhelmed, tired, or curious? Okay, now when I click, there's going to be different directions of things to do based on where you fall in the compass. So if you are north and you're feeling energized, you're going to stretch to the corners. So top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. If you are tired, you're going to, and you're south, you're going to roll your shoulders back 3 times and take a real deep breath. If you're west, and I know there's some of you in here, if you're west, you're going to think about one thing that you're going to mentally set aside during this hour, and you're going to visualize yourself placing it on a shelf, and you're going to take a deep breath. And then if you are east and you're curious, you're going to breathe while you trace 3 figure eights in the air with your finger. Okay, so think about which thing you're going to do. And I'm going to have you do that right now for the next about 10 seconds. Okay, so go ahead.
Mm-hmm. ¿Qué pasó?
All right. Everybody close your eyes. Put your feet on the floor, shoulder width apart. Take a nice big deep breath in. And exhale all of the worries, stress, things that happened today. And let's focus where you are in this moment tonight. Okay. All right. So I saw a lot of North people. I saw a lot of stretchers. So that's good. That's positive. So what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of time tonight because one of the purposes of our group is really to be able to share with one another the things that are happening, right? And I know there's amazing things that are happening, and I know there's also opportunities to continue to grow and learn from one another. So if you have a glow, something that's happened within your center or your school or your classroom that you feel like is, wow, things are really taking hold and things are really happening. I want you to either, if you're, like I said, if you feel safe, go ahead and unclick and share. If not, go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll be able to share it there as well. Okay, so what are some glows that you all have tonight things that you want to celebrate? Anybody? Oh, sunshine and warmth. Yes. Those are glows. Ooh.
Heidi, I'll share.
Oh, perfect. Yay.
I got a car wash today for the first time all winter, so that just felt like a glow. Very small,
Yay.
but yeah.
Being able to play outside in the sunshine.
Yes, I would
Sunshine
like
and
to
warmth.
share that one. Definitely the
Spring.
weather and the sunshine. That's my glow
Nice.
today.
Excellent. Doesn't that just do something for your spirit,
It
right?
does.
When that weather is so we had a very hard conversation today with the family of a child with very challenging behaviors, and it went very well. Awesome. Excellent. Connecting with loved ones. Wow, I have a 4-year-old that can read 50 words. Wow. That's a glow.
I get to do this with my daughter.
Nice. Excellent. Oh, I know. I have to see this one. Kids didn't have to wear snow pants today. Woo! That is a glow. I always remember that day when it was like, oh, transitioning was so much quicker. Kids enjoying bubbles and bike play. We have been talking about families, and my parent called me and said her 3-year-old asked her what was her parents' name. Excellent. Any grows out there? Anything that, things that you want to know more about, things that, oh, here comes more people. Anything that's a grow for you, or ways that you want to grow, or things that you have been trying that maybe didn't go quite as you planned, but maybe went exactly the way they were supposed to go. I get to do these with my daughter. I love that. Kids got to go outside today. All right. Oh, somebody else is here. Okay, anything else? Grows or glows? Anybody out there? Sorry, I'm still letting people in and giving you wait time. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our content for tonight. Our content tonight is really going to be about the power of positive intent. And so the positive intent skill comes from the power of love. And the power of love says we're going to see the best in others. And we want to do with that positive intent is we want to create some teaching moments. So I just want to put your attention back from one of the other sessions that we had together in your Sophie book. And remember, if you're looking for a good text to use on positive intent, Sophie Wants a Turn is the book that you can go to really work on and hear again the language of positive intent. So I want to bring you back to the brain states, right? And just remember that when we are in with the power of love and the power of positive intent, we have to be in the executive part of our brain, right? Because if we're not going to see the best in others. We're going to see what's wrong with it, or we're not even going to be able to see it at all because we're in survival state, right? So we have to, oh, here they keep coming. That's good. That's so good. So when we think about, I'm going to give you, I think it's 4 strategies tonight of ways that you can build, oh, here comes another person, that you can build positive intent. So the first strategy is really a regulated adult, right? So we have to be regulated. We have to be in that thinking part of our brain. So in order to get there, we need to pause. We need to regulate ourselves, Relax your shoulders, right? Pull them down from your ears, right? When we're tense, we pull them up. So pull them back and down, and then soften your face, right? Because so much of our communication is within our facial expressions. And that can be the difference between whether a child is willing or not willing to really take what we're saying and do what we're saying. So pause, regulate yourself, soften your face, and relax your shoulders. So a regulated adult is the first strategy.
En la noche.
Okay. When we think
Sí.
about
Oye,
our
y luego-
executive state for adults,
Deberían de poner a Ney. Él hace tortillas en tiza.
Ujú.
Por eso faltaba, pinche mandilón. Y pues me dice que era así como si los
Diana,
fallaban dos, ¿no?
Diana, will you
Le digo,
mute yourself,
Pero yo por
please?
tratar de suavizar. Oye, qué chingón, Ney. Comer con tortillas a mano. Es
I'll try to instant message her. Okay.
Okay.
Ujú.
Let me just see if I can.
Masa fresca.
Okay. So when we think about
Y luego, qué chingón.
the executive state for our adults, what we want to do is we want to look at these things. So if you're functioning in your executive state, you're going to be calm. You're going to be reflective. You're going to be able to look at things and think about it differently. You're going to be able to problem solve. You're going to be able to see misbehavior as a skill gap and not disrespect. You're going to be open to feedback. You're not going to take things personally, and you're going to feel connected and empowered. And that's what I think the power of positive intent does for us. But again, we have to be regulated and we have to be in the executive state of our brain. So when we are in the executive state, we can see behavior as a form of communication. What is that behavior trying to tell us? And can we look more deeply at that behavior, right? And be able to respond instead of react to that behavior. So when we think about adult outcomes for the power of love and the skill of positive intent, it says, I actively seek to see the best in others, working to see situations from their point of view. Okay. I work to ensure that I am helpful and not hurtful. I use the language you wanted or you were hoping to help children make sense of their behaviors. And we're going to talk more tonight about empathy language, which is you wanted or you were hoping. So our commitment tonight is to work on being able to see the best in others and in situations, and work to ensure that you're helpful and use empathy language of you wanted or you were hoping. So we must see children differently in order for them to behave differently. Okay, so if we constantly see a child as defiant, disruptive, a bully, then that's going to be how we view them and how we perceive their behavior.
My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. That's why having life insurance is so important to me.
Hey, Heidi, let's figure out how to mute all. I think you
Okay.
can go over to the participants as the host and mute all. So if you click on participants.
Okay, hold on. It says host tools.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Reactions can occur, including anaphylaxis.
Jody, can you mute yourself, please?
Infections that can cause
Thank you, Jody. Sorry.
Okay, because it doesn't say, sorry, Terry, it doesn't say mute all. I don't know where I'm missing that under host
Yeah.
tools.
I know Zoom updated recently. We're all
Okay.
generous with our thoughts, so we're wishing you well, Heidi.
Perfect. Okay. So we must see children differently in order for them to behave differently, right? It'll change our perspective and our intent. So when we have children who are misbehaving, they trigger our upset, right? And that throws us into the lower centers of our brain. So if we're in survival state, we see that behavior or that conflict as a threat to our authority. We see it as bad, and whoever's doing it, boy, they deserve to be punished, right? So we can't see very much from our survival state. If we're from an emotional state, we perceive it as irritating. It just needs to stop, right? But what we want to do is we want to put our glasses on so that we can see with loving eyes, so that we can access our executive skills, including the ability to see from another person's point of view. Then when we look this way, we can choose to see misbehavior as a call for help or a missing skill, instead of they're just being defiant, they're just being disobedient, they're just being a bully, right? We want to be able to, like I said, be that adult that is regulated so that we can see from that executive state. And what we're all working on, and I've been on this journey for quite a long time, but we're always working on that mindset shift. Can we see that behavior as communication? And in order to make that mindset shift, we need to breathe, we need to wish well, we need to change our perception, and then focus on what we want. Okay, so breathe, wish well, which we'll talk more about, change our perception, and then focus on what we want. So
I have a lot of memories from
this. I just want to make sure, were you all able to hear that? Share computer sound. Okay.
So I have a lot of memories from this.
Okay. So this video is like the best example I have of positive intent. So I'm going to play that for you right now.
when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old, and I was in school, and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." And so I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. And so I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "Now, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." From that moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me and he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
And I love that because that's really Mr. Jensen. And so tell me your thoughts about that. How many times have we seen a child like that who's pushed our buttons, who's gotten on our nerves, who just cannot stop, their behavior? And how many times have we looked at that as a negative when we could really look at that and say, what is that behavior trying to tell us? Right? What does that child need? And what is that behavior trying to tell us? Because we could have easily been just super annoyed by his behavior. And, he could have been, like he said, he was sent to the principal's office, he was removed from the class. But just having the ability to look at that child, and then give that child, teach them a missing skill, give them something that they need to support them. So I love that video. So be a Mr. Jensen is my message. Look deeper at that behavior. The second skill that we're going to look at, or the second strategy that I want you to walk away with, is once you are regulated and you're in your executive state, then you can reframe the behavior as a skill gap, right? Not as blatant misbehavior. So I want to give you some examples. Let's just keep it simple. Oh boy, they are being difficult, or that was difficult for them. Do you feel the difference? Can you feel the difference in those two? They are being difficult, or that was difficult for them. Now, here's some examples. Okay, so let's do some reframing of behavior with positive intent. Okay, seeing the best in this child, even if there's some negative behavior. So in this scenario, the child is grabbing a toy. Our negative intent is, oh, he's just being mean. What do you think that behavior could be saying? Anybody want to come off mute or put it in the chat? The child grabbing a toy. What could that intent be other than he's just being mean? He wanted the toy, yes. Anybody else? Anybody willing to come off mute? Anybody? He doesn't know how to ask for it. Yes. He wanted the toy. He doesn't know how to ask for it, right? Or he wants a turn and doesn't know how to ask. Anything else? Anybody else have one? He wants to play with her. Yes. Look at all this positive intent that's flowing. Anybody else? He wanted a friend. So put your glasses on, right? If you put your glasses on, that the positive intent is he wants a turn and doesn't know how to ask, right? So can we look at it that way? What will you do for this child? Will you punish or will you teach a new skill? Right? If we have the glasses on, we can teach a new skill. If we don't have the glasses on, we're going to yell, blame, make them feel guilty, or we could scream at them if we're in our survival state. But if we put on our glasses, we can teach this child a new skill. Okay, how about this one? The child is hitting. She's being a bully. So that's the negative intent. What could this behavior be saying to us? Anybody have an idea? Anybody want to come off mute or put it in the chat? What could this behavior be saying other than she's being a bully as the negative intent? That's the only way she knows how to communicate. She wants attention. She doesn't know how to express her feelings virtually. She's trying to make a connection. She's trying to communicate something. Maybe someone was in her way. These are beautiful, you all. These are great. Trying to communicate, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put our glasses on. And our positive intent says she's overwhelmed and needs help using her words to get space. Do you ever have some of those kids where other children are encroaching in their space and they just kind of lash out? They're trying to communicate, right? She's overwhelmed and needs help using words to get her space.
Yes.
Okay. So what will you do? Will you put on your glasses and teach a new skill, or will you punish her, right, for lagging skills? How about this one? The child is knocking down someone's block tower. The negative intent is he's just being destructive in the classroom. What could that behavior be communicating for him? They want to play with the blocks. What else? He likes the block to see the blocks fall and the noise. He could be curious and wants to know the effect of knocking it over. Communication, teach him or her to take turns, cause and effect. Absolutely. He wants to see what would happen or loves the noise. So again, we're going to put our glasses on. And the positive intent says he wants to join the play, but he just doesn't know how. Wants to join. So what will you do? Will you teach a new skill, or will you punish him for a skill that he does not have? How about this? The child is refusing to clean up. Our negative intent is she's just being defiant. What do you think her behavior could be communicating? She wasn't done playing yet. Yes. She could be tired. What else?
Quiere jugar más.
She doesn't want to do all that work. She's seeking connection. She could be totally overwhelmed by the mess. Absolutely. Anything else? Any other things that she could be communicating with that behavior of refusing to clean up? Buddy? So put your glasses on. The positive intent says she needs help with starting a task and staying focused. Norma, that one is so huge, right? She said she does not like the transition. Transitions are really hard for children, and moving from a preferred activity to a non-preferred activity is really difficult. Yes, she does not like the transition, but what she needs help with starting a task and staying focused. Now, here's where I want to just bring your attention to those executive skills. So many times, children's behavior is due to a missing executive skill. So task initiation is an executive skill, right? Staying focused, right, is that type of a skill, right? So we need to really support them. So what are we going to do? Are we going to teach that new skill, right? Or are we going to punish? So I always like to say to people, so what happens when a child is not sure how to do a math problem? What do we do? Anybody want to respond? What do we do if a child's not sure how to do a math problem? Yep, we model, we find a fun way to teach it. Yes, we show them. How about if a child is struggling with reading? What do we do? Give an example, right? Read to them, provide supports. But when they have a missing executive skill, or we see any types of negative behavior, oh yes, excellent. Small steps,
you make it
visual
fun.
supports, excellent. Give an example. We need to do that as well. We need to help them. We need to teach a new skill. We need to model for them. We need to have small steps with visual supports. All of those pieces will help and support with behaviors as well. Okay, I think this is the last one. So the child that constantly says no, right? So that our negative intent is he's being oppositional, right? Oh yeah, good one. Make it fun. I love that. Connection seeking. Excellent. Yes. A child who's constantly saying no is connection seeking. Yes. What other ways, what other pieces could that behavior be communicating? Scared to make a mistake. Yes. What else? Might need to be offered a choice. Excellent. Oh, you guys, I love this. So much brilliance in this group. Anything else? Any other things that this behavior might be indirectly saying it's too hard? They might be tired or hungry. Absolutely, could definitely be something sensory. Anything else? So we're going to put on our glasses. Positive intent, he's trying to feel in control and needs choices to feel safe, right? So what are you going to do? What choice are you going to make? You can only make the teach a new skill if you are regulated and you're in that executive part of your brain, right? So when we reframe with positive intent, it reduces our stress response, right? We actually feel that stress go down. It helps us see the need or the skill gap behind the behavior, and then it opens the door for us to teach the missing skill instead of just reacting to the behavior. Does that make sense? So here's where I want you to think about positive intent, because it doesn't just extend in our classrooms. It extends to every part of our world, from our work relationships to our partner relationships, to our team relationships. So I want you to look at these reframes for your work folks. So let's say you have a coworker that seems irritated in a meeting, and our negative intent says, gosh, they're just being negative. But can we look deeper at their behavior, see it through loving eyes, and say, wow, they're stressed or dealing with something outside this meeting, right? The coworker is resistant to change. They're just being stubborn. No, they care about safety and stability, and they want to protect what's working, right? Can we look at it differently? The coworker seems checked out. They don't care. They might be overwhelmed, burned out, or unsure where they fit. The director sends a curt email. Oh, that the story that we would tell ourselves is, wow, they must be really annoyed with me. And it could be as simple as they're trying to be efficient or they're under pressure. The director takes longer than expected to reply. Wow, she's or he's ignoring me. No, they may be prioritizing something urgent or trying to give a thoughtful response, right? So can we look at that behavior differently? Even, yes, they could be dealing with a personal matter. Absolutely. But positive intent could be, the person that you meet with at the grocery store, right? The person that takes the parking spot that you wanted. For me, it's I always have to reframe when I'm in the drive-through at Walgreens. That's a trigger for me, right? Like it takes forever. And, it's always busy, right? So how do we use this positive intent? But again, we would have to take a deep breath, pause, and then be in our executive state so we can be able to see it differently. Now I want you to think about home, right? I want you to think about your partner, right? So if the partner needs reassurance, wow, they're really being needy. No, they're seeking connection and safety from you. The partner is defensive. Nope, they're refusing to take responsibility. They're feeling vulnerable or misunderstood. The partner is short-tempered. They're taking it out on me. Nope, they might just be overwhelmed and don't have the tools in the moment, right? Can you see how that changes how we look at things? That negative intent is the story we tell ourselves, right? Our brain has a negativity bias, so we always kind of go to the negative first. But what happens if you can turn that and flip that? And we get to make up the intent. We don't know what someone else's intent is, right? We get to make it up. And why wouldn't we make it up positively? Why wouldn't we see it and reframe it to be positive, right? So a partner forgets something important. Oh, the story we tell ourselves is they just don't value me. But it could be as simple as their plate is full, their mind is full, you know, it slipped their mind. The partner withdraws during conflict. They don't care enough about me to talk. Nope, they're trying not to make things worse, or maybe they just need some time to regulate. Can you see how that feels different? We get to make up that intent, and we can make it up positively, right? It's a choice. The next strategy I want you to think about is empathy language. So these two sentence stems are very important for empathy language, to help someone feel understood, to help a child feel understood. You wanted, or you were hoping. You wanted mom to pick you up from daycare today, but it's dad's day. You were hoping to stay outside longer because it's such a beautiful day, but it's time to go in. So we're providing some understanding. We're hearing them, right? That empathy language. I had Jill Moley. She came and coached in my program for many, many years. And she never left a coaching visit without saying we needed more empathy language, more empathy language, more empathy language. If you have those children with the little fusses and fits, just providing this empathy language helps them hear you, and that you hear them, and that you understand, and that you're there to help. So when we want to have positive intent, but there are hurtful actions, we have some words to kind of go along with that. Now, when you look at this, I want you to think about the age group of your children, because this might be too much language, right? So we're going to really look at the pieces that are most important. But if you see step one, that's empathy language. You wanted, or you were hoping, right? This builds security. Step two is so you. This tells them what they did, right? Because remember, kids that are functioning, you know, in that survival or emotional state of the brain, you know, they're not ready for this, right? We have to take care of the state first, then we would do this. Step three is you didn't know the words to use, did you? This keeps the child in their executive state. And then we're going to set the limit, right? You may not blank, blank hurts. And then step five is the teaching piece, right? This is that where it said focus on what you want. When you want blank, do or say this. And then number six is do it now for practice. So let me give you a couple examples. You wanted a turn, so you hit her. You did not know the words to use. Here's setting the limit, right? You may not hit. Hitting hurts. When you want a turn, say, can I have a turn, please? Do it now for practice, right? You're giving them the words to say, and then you're having them practice. Okay. Again, empathy language, stating what they did, setting the limit, right? Giving them the words and then practicing. Okay. Here's another example. You are angry, so you screamed. You wanted him to know you're angry. You may not scream. Screaming hurts our ears. When you want someone to know you're upset, take a breath and say, I'm mad, or come and tell a teacher. Let's practice taking a breath and saying, I'm mad. right? So again, think about the age group of your children. You for sure want to say you wanted or you were hoping, right? You wanted or you were hoping. Now I want you to think a little bit about your triggers. So what is one behavior that just pushes your buttons? What is one behavior that is just really hard for you to handle? And I can that for me, if somebody said like swearing is a trigger for them, swearing's not a trigger for me. I can stay calm and composed if a child is swearing. But if a child is spitting, that's a trigger for me, right? That's a really tough trigger. And I had a child that, and you know how it is in early childhood, we have bins of everything, right? We have totes and bins, and every day he would pull out those bins and he would spit in them. And you know how that you have to take everything and disinfect it. And so spitting was really a trigger for me. So I want you to look at this list and think about and reflect a little bit on what's a trigger for you. And then we're going to do a little activity with that trigger. So I want you to think about that. And if yours isn't on here, go ahead and pick the trigger that that really bothers you. Now, this could be a trigger from your partner, your spouse, your significant other. It could be from one of your own children. It could be from a student, a child in your classroom. What's your trigger? So the next strategy is the trigger to teaching map. Okay, so choose one of those behaviors that triggers you and map. So what are your assumptions about that behavior, right? Kind of like we talked about that negative intent. Is it that they're doing it on purpose? Is it that they know better? Is it that, you know, they're just doing it to be defiant, or they know it bothers you? What are your assumptions about that behavior? Just take a second and reflect on that and jot it down. So whatever your trigger is, what are your assumptions about that behavior? Okay. So when you think about that trigger and that behavior, what might the child actually need? Okay, so reflect on that, make a couple notes. What might the child actually need? And then last, reflect on what skill you could teach. So when you work through this trigger to teaching map, it turns your frustration into a plan to support, right? And a plan to respond instead of react. Anybody willing to share theirs or put it in the chat, what your trigger is, what the child might actually need, and what skill you can teach? Anybody willing to come off mute and share, or put it in the chat?
Mine's is tattletelling.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
And the skill that I try to teach them is that first they need to communicate with their friend, but if they're not hurting, like are bleeding, that that they don't have to tell me, that they can talk through it, and it's not something that I directly need to handle. Just your friend sticking their tongue out at you. I know it hurts your feelings and you don't like it, but you don't have to really tell me. It's so hard to get it through to them though.
Yeah. So what might that child actually need that is telling you about a child that stuck their tongue out at them?
They need
What
to
might they be looking for?
To be comforted in about another situation.
Yeah, so maybe they need connection, right?
Yeah.
They're looking for connection, and that's how they're telling you. So what skill could you teach? Do you have a thought on what skill you could teach?
No, this is was something that I'm actively struggling with.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Anybody have a suggestion for what skill they could teach? She could teach that child?
I do. Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Maybe a visual saying when we tell and don't tell, like what are telling emergencies and not. Like,
Okay.
like she mentioned, bleeding, emergencies,
Mhm.
or make it a yes and no thing. Like if a friend is bleeding, do we tell the teacher? Yes. If the friend took your sticker or, those non-emergencies, then we can wait or something.
Mhm. So thank you for being brave enough to come off mute. What I will tell you is some language, right? So what we want to do is we want to teach them to be assertive, right? And that's one of our skills is assertiveness, right? I don't like it when you stick your tongue out at me, right? And please, um, you know, uh, make sure you state what you want them to do. I don't like it when you stick your tongue out at me. Please keep your tongue in your mouth. I don't like that. Right. So thinking about teaching them that assertiveness, but also you might want to say something like, are you telling me that to be helpful or hurtful? Right? And if it's something that's about safety, you want them to tell you, right? So if someone's hurt and then you just say, I'll take care of that, right? I'm the safekeeper. It's my job to keep you safe. I'll take care of that. But if it's just something where they're just telling on someone else, teaching them assertiveness skills, but then also just saying something like, are you telling me that to be helpful or hurtful? And having them reflect on that a little bit. Does that help? Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else willing to share? Okay, let's see. Somebody put one in the. Oh, my 2-year-old son is in the habit of walking very slowly. It feels like he's intentionally causing us to run behind or late. I know he's trying. I know he's trying to communicate that he misses me and he wants to extend the time we have one-on-one. He needs connection. I've been attempting to incorporate I love you rituals into our time together to give him those moments of connection. Yes, excellent. Love that. Look at how you look more deeply at that behavior, right? Because you could just say, oh man, he's just doing that on purpose, right? But he's communicating that he is needing some connection. Anybody else want to come off mute and share a behavior that triggers you?
I am currently struggling with a kid who is like arguing with me. Like my co-teacher has said that the way that we go back and forth sounds like siblings, and I don't know how to get through to him, I guess.
Okay. So what do you think he might actually need?
I'm not sure.
Anybody have some
It's like
thoughts?
it's over very little things every time it happens.
Anybody want to jump in on that one? So is the arguing, yep, seeking control, yep. Um, is the arguing when you like give a direction, give a like when do the arguments happen? What are you arguing about?
But the main thing I could think of that like happened this week is like laying down at nap time.
Okay. Okay. So normally if like a child is like using verbal things, right? We know that they're in the emotional state, right? An emotional state needs connection. So I think he might be sending you a message that, yes, somebody said seeking control, needing to feel heard. So if he's seeking control, the best thing is to give choices, right? Like You know, do you want your mat here, or your cot here, or here? Or would you like to bring a book to your cot, or would you like to bring a fidget to your cot? Like maybe giving some choices. Um, needs to feel heard. They need some type of connection. So maybe spending a little bit of extra time with him, you know, before it's rest time, or even when he's on his mat, really noticing, oh my goodness, you got right on your mat and got ready for rest. Good for you. Way to go. Just really looking for and noticing those things that you want to see from that child. So I want you to think about this strategy. If you know, there's a behavior that really triggers you, think about what your assumptions are, right? Our brain has a negativity bias, so we tell ourselves that story, what the child might actually need, and then what skill can you teach. One of the biggest messages that I want you to think about and take away with you tonight is that you have to Q-tip, right? Quit taking the behavior personally. The behavior is happening in front of you. It's not happening to you, right? So the more we can look at and not take that behavior personally, and be able to put those glasses on and think about what is that child trying to communicate. So I want to give you a couple of things from your 6 weeks of success book, right? So one of the best ways that we show positive intent is through wishing well. So how many of you, if you can send up a heart, if you have a wish well board, or if you do wishing well in your classroom right now, or put a heart emoji in the chat. Oh, thank you, Terry. I see your hearts. Yay. Right? So that helps us, offers children a way to see the best in others and offer empathy, and show care and concern for those, love, support, and care. So if you look on pages 66 and 67 in your 6 weeks of success book, it'll tell you more about how to implement wishing well. And that's a ritual. And remember, rituals in conscious discipline build connection. Everybody know how to wish well? Just put your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath and focus your energy from your brain to your heart. Soften your eyes. Generate one or more of these feelings, care, gratitude, love, appreciation. Allow them both through you, in your back and out through your heart. Imagine sending out love from your heart, and you move that energy through your imagination. So your EKG, your heart, can change your EEG, which is your brain, right? So if you take a deep breath, imagine that love flowing through you, and send it out to the world. The Celebration Center. So the Celebration Center is the structure around positive intent, and it's to see the best in everyone and to notice the little things, which are often very big things for children. Recognize and celebrate each other's strengths, right? So that's on page 96 and 97 in your book. And what I'll tell you is that the Celebration Center is not about celebrating kids being good, right? It's about the small things that happen. It could be them doing something that they've been working hard to practice. It could be them learning something academic, right? Knowing their colors, being able to count to 20 or whatever, losing a tooth, you know, having a new baby sister or brother. Like, how do we see the best and notice those little things? So again, page 96 and 97 in 6 weeks. And then another structure is the kindness tree, or the kindness recorder. And the goal is to focus on kind and helpful acts in the school or in the classroom. So if you see someone being kind, being helpful, being thoughtful, put a shape on the kindness tree. Okay, pages 100 and 101 in 6 weeks. Anybody have a kindness tree or a kindness recorder in their classroom? Oh, excellent, Norma. Do you see kids using it? And do you see an increase in kind and helpful acts in your classroom? Yes, excellent. Yay, Hazel, you do too? Excellent. It really is kind of one of those things that once it starts, it kind of snowballs and you get all these amazing kind and helpful acts. I love that. So when we think about, in closing, strategies for positive intent, we first want to regulate, right? And put those glasses on so that we can see with love, right? See the best in others. Reframe that behavior as a skill gap and not just misbehavior. We're going to use that empathy language you wanted or you were hoping. And then we're going to try out that trigger to teaching map when there's a behavior that really triggers you or really pushes your buttons. And then in terms of classroom application, think about what wish well ritual looks like in your classroom, the celebration center, and the kindness tree or the recorder. So really quickly, I want you to just think about and reflect on what was the most valuable piece of information from tonight. And then just quick add it in the chat, and that's kind of your exit ticket for tonight. I will be sending these slides to Terry, and Terry and Paige will get these slides to you so you have access to those. But put your most valuable piece of information in the chat, or if anybody wants to come off mute and say theirs out loud, I'd love to hear what is my trigger. Reframing behaviors, empathy language. The behavior is happening in front of you, not to you. Putting on my glasses. Ensure we are regulated. Reframing. Trigger map. Seeing the steps written out, looking at behaviors through a positive lens. Oh yes, whoever said you can't help children unless you're regulated yourself. Teaching a skill, triggers map. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you there. Look at all of you. Trigger map. Staying positive. My triggers and how to navigate it. Quit taking it personally and tapping into the executive state of the brain. Empathy. Rethinking those behaviors in a positive way. Q-tip. Make sure I'm regulated before engaging. Staying positive. Thinking about why they behave in a certain way. Yeah, being that behavior detective. What is that behavior trying to say? Empathy language. Positive lens. Seeing the steps written out, how to reframe behavior was helpful. And again, you'll have these slides so you can go back to it when you're practicing. Because remember, sometimes it doesn't always feel natural. It feels like a lot of language, and you just got to keep practicing, right? Just keep trying. Any last thoughts or comments? Again, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for all the patience and positive intent on tech things and virtual training. But hopefully it was helpful on this beautiful night. And any last thoughts, questions?
Thank you so much, Heidi. This was really wonderful. And I wanted to put so many things in the chat box in terms of what resonated. How about that we can use this with our colleagues, with our team members, with the teachers next door, with our family, with our brother. You know, these are things that will help us in all relationships with little humans and big humans. So thank you so much. Let's thank
lots of
Heidi.
thank yous in the chat.
Yeah,
so
lots of
welcome.
thank yous. So thank you. And we will look forward to other heart to hearts in the future. And thank you, everyone. Quick reminder, We have, if you're a program director or a school director, it's not too late to sign up for Heidi's full day called Introduction to Conscious Leadership. And early educators, there are some more things coming up, including our